quick review of some Vortex Rearsets. I've had mine on my bike for about 2 years. We're fixing to put this on a Gixer. Why would you want to change your rear sets? Well, that's a pretty easy question. It allows you to move your feet around better. Say you got longer legs or shorter legs or whatever. These little holes will allow you to adjust up, down, forward, or even back, you know, quarter inch at a time or so. Basically allow you to place your foot and your legs in a place that's more comfortable on your bike. So we're gonna put them on and see what my buddy thinks. We're gonna go on this bike right here, and as you can see, I've already got them on mine because I had a real big problem with basically locking my leg into my tank. I have kind of like really short legs. I couldn't get my knee above this right here, which is kind of weird. So I actually moved mine a little further back. But they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I really do like them. Had them, like I said, for 2 years, and I think they're great. So if you're looking about actually getting them, you know, they're a little bit expensive, $300 for, you know, I think the V2. You can find them cheaper maybe. We're going to take all this off. Here's the one thing about it that you'll have an issue with is you'll lose your rear brake light. There's a little spring down here, and that attaches to this right here, which is your rear brake light. And with it being an aftermarket, you know, rear set, it'll have everything you need for all this, but it's actually for racing, so they don't use rear brake lights in racing, so you will not have your rear brake light, at least for the rear pedal. You will, of course, retain the one on your front, because that has nothing to do with your rear set. So we'll get them put on and show you how to adjust them and everything else. So with every rear set, you're going to get a set of these. These are called instructions. I advise actually using them, because don't be a dumbass and just be like, oh, I don't need these because these are so simple. Make sure you use these. You don't need a lot of tools. You need an Allen wrench. You might need a pair of these if you have a little lock ring, which is right here. We're going to have to take that lock ring off, and they're a pain in the ass to take off unless you have these tools, which does this. It's a spreader. So we're going to start on this side. Hopefully he's doing the... Are you unwrapping the right side?
Yeah, it should be this one here.
No, I think it's that one right there. See that?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take these off. That's going to take this whole entire piece off, okay? Got to get rid of the entire rear set. And then after we get the rear set put on, we're going to take off your shifter and then attach the linkage. And depending on how you have it attached up here is whether or not you have regular shift or GP shift. Very simple. Hope this doesn't get off though. That shit, man. I might have to edit that out. Right. You're gonna need the 2 bolts though. Pretty sure. So this is the... Do we? Yeah, we might need to take a break. Yeah. want to put any new Loctite on?
Yeah. I just saw it. I was like, oh, might want to put that on.
It's a good idea to use Loctite. That way they don't vibrate loose.
And you don't need to freaking put a shitload on.
No, you just put a little dot.
Or like that.
There you go.
And then it'll work its way around once you start threading it in. Don't step on it. Start getting Loctite everywhere. You're good. I'm just double tapping.
Double tapping.
Double tap. All we gotta do is double tap.
Right. So basically, this is going to go on anywhere that you actually need it for it to be adjusted. You use all these different holes or different placements of where you actually want your foot. So it's going to take a lot of trial and error to see exactly where you're going to want to have it and make it more comfortable. So next thing we're going to put on is going to be your foot peg. So, or not peg, but you know, your gear shifter. So I'm going to attach the little piece right here. Now, do you need the instructions for that? Because, you know.
This part.
Okay, so to remove your shifter, you want to take these, put them in there, open that up, and that'll come right out. Okay, try not to lose them. Alright. Now you can get some wrenches and disconnect here. That's going to slide on just like that. Okay. So once you get this linkage put back together, to raise this, all you're going to do is adjust it. See how it raises up? And if you want it lower, you just spin it. Once you get it right where you're basically going to want it, then you'll use nuts right here to lock it back down. So now that we got that on there, you need to go and put these on and start. You know, I usually have mine right around this hole right here.
Is it second to the bottom?
Yeah, second to the bottom.
So pretty much it just lines up with these two right here.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll keep them in the same group. I start off with the middle, and that gives me a good idea where I want to start. Alright, so basically that's your basic setup for your Vortex. You know, you're going to sit there and adjust these. You'll sit on the bike and put your foot there, and you'll feel how the peg is, feel how your knee is, and your legs are wherever they're at. If you think that they're too high, you'll bring them down. If you think they're too low, you bring them up. You can bring them back or forward. So this side is pretty much basically done. So we'll be off to the brake side. Alright, so this is the brake side, and this is what I'm going to show you that's going to have to happen. So you're going to reuse this. Obviously, that's your brake cylinder. So there's a cotter pin back here. You're going to use needle nose pliers to undo that. Okay. Alright, so that takes the tension off that. Now, you're going to pull these two. This is actually smaller than that. What do you know? I'm a genius. Okay, you have to break those loose.
Really? You only got?
Those are on there pretty severely. Too much Loctite on those shits. Alright, so since these things are stuck, we're going to heat them up for a couple minutes. And hopefully that'll get the whole entire bolt hot enough to break the Loctite loose. And we'll be able to get them off. Small problem. These had so much red Loctite on them from the factory that we actually had to have them drilled out. So we took them to the shop. and had them drilled out, and they just randomly put these back in so that we could take them apart. So we'll take this off. Alright, so that takes that off, takes the brake off. Now, there's a spring that's behind here that every time you hit your brake, see that little spring back there? It's going to sit there and turn on your light. Well, we're not going to be able to use that anymore because these are aftermarket, so let's take this off and then we'll get ready for the next part. No, that's good, it's already off. Here, take these off right here. Once you take off your rear set, you got to undo this, which is the actual brake line, or not the brake line, but the brake light. There's your little spring or whatever. And you're just going to zip tie it up here to something to keep it out of the way. So you just need a pair of pliers, unscrew it, and you'll be good. And then just go ahead and put your plate back on. And you got that. It's going to be these two bolts. And that's even with it. Oh, hold on, let me go back one. Oh yeah, because you started in the middle on the other. You look for the other one?
Only of these loose in case we need to adjust.
Alright. You're going to just put that on there, and then you'll slide it on the back of that. You want to put the bolts in first, though. And put these in. Okay, don't tighten it all the way down.
Yeah.
Put the other one in.
Not.
Okay, so now that you got your brake cylinder back on, your brake light, you'll need to zip tie it, which is sitting right here. You'll want to zip tie it to something, like one of these lines or whatever. And then after that, you're going to put this little ring, this ring here, will go back on the actual brake right there. And then basically after that, it's just some small adjustments and you're done.